name is Van Cherry Green. I am a 47-year woman with three children, five grandkids, including my husband's children. He has two biological children, which are my stepkids, and he has, altogether, we have eight grandkids. We've been partners for 21 years, 21 lovely years. We were together, we got married before he went to jail, which we only had 2 years into before he was later incarcerated. Well, back in when it first started in 2004, my husband was arrested and charged with second degree attempted murder on a O'Donnell Heights basketball shooting with two teenagers that were 13 and 14 at the time of the shooting. My husband was not framed right away, but later picked up in a line out by two witnesses that was really pressured into saying that my husband was the guy being picked out the lineup. The lineup described that he was 5'8", medium built with hair. My husband is 6'2", 240 pounds man. His name is, at the time they said his name was Daryl. He has several names. And his real name, birth name, is Duryea Green. He is a 54-year-old man. Well, he was actually framed by a detective at the time. His name was Sergeant James Lloyd, who is now being charged with kidnapping and extortion by a man who was working a hard living for his family and himself. He practically used his force into getting this man's money back and taking him to the bank to get his money back. So, and the same thing he done to me, James Lloyd done to me, was he came to my home. He took me and my three children and took us to a cage at the back of the Southeastern District Police Station on Eastern Avenue. However, he left us there for an hour until I pleaded to beg for him to let us out. He then taken my kids to school, put me in the back of the police car, unmarked police car with handcuffs on. He treated me like I was a criminal, taking me all the way out Lansdale, Maryland, with three police officers at the time, including himself. So we went to my husband's job, a new job that he had. My husband traveled in the work that he was doing because he was doing construction. So he took us out to Lansdale, Maryland. So I'm not sure how James Lloyd found out how he knew where my husband worked at, because I didn't, because of stations where they were stationed to different areas to do construction, and he was arrested there. But when he came into my house, he was unsure of his real name, and he took his work ID badge off of the dresser, and then that's how he arrested him. But the warrant that he had a misspelled name, but his last name on the warrant, and then when they arrested him, they forced the warrant into his real name. He's been incarcerated right now for 18 years, 18 and a half years, going on 19. He's been convicted of 45 years. The judge gave him 45 years. He originally went from 10 years because they wanted him to say that he did it. So when he did not say that he did it, I myself hired an attorney, and the attorney name is Alan Cohen, and I paid him $10,000. He did nothing, absolutely nothing. It was almost like he said, "I'll take you for the next case, and then we'll arrest him." In the course of that, they arrested me in the courtroom to say that I threatened a witness. I never seen my husband, never had the right and the chance to face his accuser. But one of the witnesses also stated that he said my husband was not the person. He couldn't identify him. He don't know who it was because it was too dark in O'Donnell Heights. It's not great lighting there, but he was really framed and accused of a crime that he did not commit. Also, to say that my husband has two biological children and my three. We've been together for 21 years. In 21 years, my husband has never had a conviction of handgun, domestic violence. He's never had a gun charge in his life. And to accuse him and frame him of a crime that he did not do is really devastating. Also, we had a second lawyer who we hired to pay $7,000 for to do his post conviction. We wind up hiring him. His name is Ed Smith, and hiring Ed Smith, going into his case. However, he went into his case, and then when we were getting ready to go to court on the second time of going to court, after it was postponed the first time, he had to step down. We didn't see him anymore. He didn't even finish my husband's case. His case was just, the whole thing was just a mess, and it's devastating to myself and his children and to his family. Well, the witnesses contact me by Facebook, and they said, hey, we were put under pressure through James Lloyd. We seen that he was arrested on news, and we were wondering if you saw it, and if we could come together and try to do something to get your husband home, because we were really pressured, because Detective Lloyd actually threatened him to say that my husband did it by saying, I'm going to take your kids, I'm going to lock you up if you don't say he did it. He said lots of things to them that they told me, the witnesses told me that he said they were going to do to him, as to why they said my husband did it. They also signed affidavits forms and sent to my husband. One of the witnesses actually went to go visit my husband. And she kind of, bled her heart out to say that, she's sorry, she apologized, she was scared, she was threatened, she don't know the law, she don't know what to do, and that's what happened, that he forced her to say, hey, he did it. And that's how my husband wound up being incarcerated, behind someone falsely saying that he did it. And it's easy for someone to say something to the law that someone did it and really believe in their heart that they didn't do it. So the course of my husband being incarcerated, he's gotten sickly over the years of being incarcerated. He later found out he had cancer, and I had to go through so much to get him help and seek help. And when he did receive help, he had passed out in the jail by bleeding really bad. He was taken out of the hospital at the jail and to Barnes-Secure Hospital. They treated him and said that he needs to be seen. Not just when the jail said he needs to be seen, but he needs to be treated. The illness that he has, the cancer that he has, he needs to be treated like more often, appointments, and not just once every blue moon or once a month, they said to me.
So what's his status now? So he's sick and in jail right now?
Yes.
Any kind of treatment?
They're giving him medication, which still is just a medication. It's just to keep him stable, but he needs the treatment because the cancer that he has.
Have you heard from him in terms of what the COVID status is inside of the jail that he's at?
Well, guys on his side of the on his tier, a lot of guys inside the jail where he is now, they some of them had got removed, some of them are in the quarantine there, some of the guys were sent home because the COVID has gotten so bad. 3 of the guys that was on my husband's side actually passed away through the COVID because they had it so bad. So they shut the whole jail down. So now I haven't been able physically to see my husband since March of 2020, and he Skypes and calls me. I see him. He's at Jessup, the MCIJ at Jessup Corrections.
So he's got a family yourself.
His mom is sickly, and she talks to him but not telling him her conditions. His mom now cannot walk, and she was going to go see him as she should, as a mom, does, but she can't walk anymore, and the family wants to keep that away from him, not telling him the real situation with her because they don't want to worry him. But he has grandkids he hasn't even seen yet, and the children that he has, we were going to see him as when we were able to see him, but we can't see him now due to the pandemic. My husband is, when he was home, my husband was a working man. He took care of family. He took care of his mother. He took care of his grandma with hospital appointments, doctor's appointments, took them where they had to go because they don't drive. Main thing was he stayed on my children as well because they were boys, and he's not their biological father, but he raised them to do the right things. He went to sports activities with them. They played football, my two boys, and he never missed a football game. I just wanted to be fair. I want a fair trial for him. I want him to come home. I want him to be treated fairly and equally as to his rights. Not just go by what someone said or because the color of his skin. Or I just want them to hear him out. He was not heard through his case. He didn't have a fair trial at all with the two paid attorneys and nor the judge. The judge himself was very disrespectful. I later found out that the judge that he went in front of had a kind of a brain aneurysm. The judge that he went in front of had a brain aneurysm. At the time went in front of my husband went in front of him, he had was going through therapy after coming out of a stroke. My husband was not treated fairly at all, and nor myself. I was arrested and didn't even know what was going on. I came back into the courthouse at the recess at 2 o'clock, and I was put in handcuffs, but was let go after his trial. So they recalled his trial because I was arrested. The next day we went back, and that's when he got sentenced to 45 years. He was also sentenced not by a judge. He was sentenced by the grand jury. He was sentenced by a grand jury, and I think that was just unfair. He didn't have a leg to stand on. I honestly think that the lawyer he had knew that he was this was going to happen. But when he ran into them later, as now they are adults, young adult males, they ran into him in the jail in Hagerstown, and the two witnesses that were shot later in the ankle and in the knee said to my husband that I'm sorry that you are in here and you shouldn't be in here, and you were framed for something that you did not do. And honestly, the detective James Lloyd said that you made us say that you did it because then we were children. We didn't know what to say, or at the time, what does the law mean? We don't know anything about the law. 19 years my husband has been in jail for something that he did not do and was framed. And my thing is, I just think that when the law now, the way that they're doing things, they're not being fairly and treating these cases as they should. They're going by people coming forward, they're saying wrong information, inaccurate information, and sometimes they go by their background, or they go by the color of their skin, or they're just not being fair. These judges now that they have in these courts, I think they're too old to be still on the bench, and honestly, giving these people, not hearing these people as they should. My husband, his case, he was railroaded very unconditionally, not being treated fair at all, and nor was the family. Well, James Lloyd actually was in the case with Detective Sean Suter. They were trying actually to get him out of the case because they felt like he was being not fair because he knew what was going on in his case. He was off the case when they later found out that he and his partner, which was Sean Suter's partner, were siding together, and he was not really wanting to tell on him in so many words. So when they found that out, the Baltimore City Police Department actually ruled him out of his case.